Hello everybody and welcome to this Meet Your Maker guide on loot farms. Today we'll be covering a few different topics, including identifying a loot farm, building a loot farm for your raiders, how to also use the loot as an incentive to try and help you get more kills, as well as a thing at the end of the video such as the duck hunt map, which is like a shooting range where you can give the raiders infinite ammo to fire within the base. Now, in order for you to identify a loot farm for yourself, you want to use the Prosamagi boost. Prosamagi will be able to give you a boost that allows you to foresee the levels you're loading into. Builders normally indicate their farm maps by using words such as loot, gift or farm in their thumbnails, as well as you can recognise them by the large quantity of things such as impalers, bolt shots or bombs, which can be used to destroy other traps or guards. I'm so glad that they fixed the pistons and... Oh well, this isn't about Harvey. Let's get on with the loot farm. So, when we want to get a base, first thing you want to do is check if you can actually build the loot farm with it. So what we're going to need to do is clear the base, which we're going to do by stripping the outpost. Now we'll be able to see if we can actually build a loot farm here. So for this instance, this is a large base. So depending on whether it's small, medium or large, there'll be different areas in which the loot will appear if it's destroyed by a non-player sort of effect through traps. So we'll just show those, and yeah, so how you want to find it easily is you start at this middle block and then we're going to count over for the correct amount. So this is a large base, so we'll be doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 and 13. So right underneath this tile is where the loot will be spawning in, which will just be inside this tile here. So it doesn't spawn inside the tile, we want to remove it and then it will fall onto this floor here. Then all we got to do now is connect a pathway up to there. So something simple you can do, we'll just connect the pathway and connect the pathway across, and we've got a very sort of simple build. So make sure you leave enough room around it so the loot can be collected nicely. Last thing we need to do is add a corrosive cube so the player can reset the build. So once they've collected the loot, they'll be able to jump in here and reset it. Now we need to get on with the then connecting. We just need to make a pathway for Harvey. So what we'll do, we'll go over to the gem map and we'll just make a path so Harvey can walk there, so we can actually start the map. So just simple path, it's more focusing on the farm. And there we are. We have the pathway for there and the pathway for Harvey. Now what we need to do is get on and build the farm. So a simple way we can do it is by building a platform up in the sky. Making a farm platform in the sky can quite easily be done on each map. For a medium base, you're looking at a 9x9 and a large base, an 11x11 size, to be most efficient with either the 3000 capacity or the 4500 capacity bases. So for a medium, it will look something like this. Just make sure you leave at least a few tiles from the height limit so you can build the full thing. So a 9x9. We just get this. So this will be what you will build with. Oh, nope. Let's get rid of that. That's not a 9x9. So this is a 9x9 what we'll be building if it was a medium. And for a large, let's put the rest of the tiles in for the large. This will be a large base. So there's the kind of the sizes, and then the axes, just so you know, just find the middle. So on the center point, what we're going to be doing is setting up the explosions properly from all the traps. So what we're going to do is start off with the center block, put this block in with a ramp. We'll have that later for the detonator of the warmonger. Then for this part we're going to be putting these spike traps all around here, and these will all be explosive self-destruct spikes. After this, what we want to do is follow a pattern that will go around this in a kind of diagonal line shape. So we'll get back to this in a sec. So we've now filled this area in with self-destruct explosion spikes, and they're in this kind of diagonal fashion. Now what we're going to be doing is filling in the rest of the gaps with non-explosive spikes. So do the grey area if you're on a 9x9 medium base, and you can do the outer ring if you're on a large base. So we're just going to speed through this. So now we've successfully filled this whole area in with these alternating exploding spikes and non-exploding spikes. Now what we need to do is form the detonator so that it will automatically set itself off and get the loot farm going. For this we are going to require a corrosive cube and a warmonger. So for the warmonger we will be needing to put on him the dead man's switch, and then what we're going to do is use the record guard patrol and running him into the cube and then ending his patrol. So again, that is, we'll be walking him forward and then just push the button to stand guard in the middle of the cube. If it's been done correctly, it should look something like this. The warmonger with DMS runs into the corrosive cube and sets his detonation off, which then chain destructs all of the detonating spike traps and will then send the loot down to the loot spot. So all of the things which have been done by the non-player interaction sort of things, which are these traps exploding, they'll go down the bottom to the loot spot down there. But the actual guard will leave a little bit of loot up here. Now we've built it like this so it minimises the destruction that the guard can cause while still enabling the traps to self-destruct around the area. So just try and lose as little loot as possible. And we're down. Right, so the loot should appear here on the loot spot. Once you've collected it, you're going to run into the air and hopefully have one very happy raider. This is what it would look like from the raider's perspective. Now if it's the raider, you hope that they would be going down, picking up the loot, and then dying in the corrosive cube a few times so that it resets the map, allowing them to farm the loot over and over a few times. Now before they reach 400 synthite, it's going to give them quite a fair amount of loot, but after you reach 400 there's a soft cap and the rate of loot will be a constant amount of around about 30 to 50 for this design right now. So he'll be an example. So this is before 400 and then they'll be after 400. Loot farm bases are heavily reliant on a raider actually needing resources. So don't expect to get a KD of more than 1 or 2 unless the raider needs the materials. However, you can try and make your payout as good as you can to incentivize them to want to farm your base, and then both of you can benefit. Another nice thing we can do for our raiders if we've got quite a difficult base is to give them a loot drop every time they want to try and attempt it. This can be achieved by getting a bunch of hornets in the sky that fly into a corrosive cube. When the raider wants to raid in, they will get a nice pile of loot dropped for them. Now the hornets, well, guards in general, will drop loot at their location when they're dying. So as their bodies fall down, a nice little pile of loot will end up here as well. Something which you can do is put a cheeky spike trap or something underneath this area, so when they go to pick up the loot, you get a free kill out of it. But it's a nice incentive to keep them playing, especially if it's a hard base like this one, which has got about 11 or 12 KD. It just keeps them playing, which then hopefully means a much higher KD for you. What we can see here is that I've tried to include this loot spawner at the end of a kill tunnel. So when the traps all break, it spawns a pile of loot at the end of the kill box, with hopefully the intent of like keeping people playing the kill box a little bit longer than, you know, they would. So it's just a little incentive that you can see right at the end of the tunnel. On this one, we have sort of like a secret tomb idea, so you can get the objective if you just want the rank, or you can find the secret tomb. So there would be a loot pile which would be at the bottom of this pyramid, so you'd have to fight your way up and get in and then go down to the bottom, and that was the idea of a kind of build like this, or it's kind of stuck there. But and then we've got a kind of creative sort of build, so I decided to make a castle. So this is a castle loot base in which the traps are on the front, and we use the pistons and just kind of boot the DMS warmongers onto the spike traps. So this is just a sort of a more arty looking base. I have actually prestiged this one up and decorated it a lot more. This is kind of a bit of an old footage right now. But as you can see, it's still just a functioning loot kind of farm. We are now coming to the end of the video, but this is where we would show off the duck hunt or target practice build. So this build gives the raider infinite ammo in which they can shoot at other stuff with. So right now we see Mel playing, so thanks to Mel who came in my base and raided it in social so I could get some YouTube footage, since I struggled to get some good footage from it being inactive, since I don't think it was very clear to people exactly what this base was intending to do. But what we have here is an infinite ammo target practice map. So when the people are shooting at the enemies, if they're standing on the loot spot area, so or just in the middle of the map, we can actually do it at ground level, not just have to be on the loot spot. But when you shoot the bolts, as soon as they come into contact with a surface or a enemy, they will instantly be replenished to the weapon that it was shot from. So as you can see here, Mel's shooting a ton of the enemies and all the ammo is coming right back. Somebody else suggested a really cool idea that I could put in a hollow cube into the map with maybe something like an arrow, so that I don't have to have everything set up as timers, and then you could just shoot the hollow cube and all of the warmongers would run out and try and get down through this sort of duck hunt maze to reach the player and try and kill the player before they could all shoot them all. As well as somebody else also said something about a horde mode, which I thought was a pretty cool idea as well. However, the only problem is there's kind of a limitation of 20 guards at the minute, like 19 or 20. So if they remove the cap for maybe social, then you could get some really cool horde mode builds going on, but I guess it's for stability reasons that they have it currently as it is. But anyway, yeah, thanks for watching the video. If you liked it, make sure you smash that Chimera like button, and I will see you all in another video. Thank you very much. Bye bye now.
I will never forget your kindness.